On the next day, Erdem and Cagla give statements to the press about Ilker's death in the school's meeting room. Holding a microphone, Erdem explains what happened on the day, stating that, "I was trying my best to convince Ilker to stop playing, but he didn't listen." Then the players' accusations of Ilker cheating led to a brawl, which caused him to fall from the terrace accidentally. Reporter Tansu asks if anybody deliberately pushed him from the terrace. Erdem claims that everything happened so fast that he didn't see if someone pushed Ilker or not, but reporter Tansu looks unconvinced. She says, "So were you trying to stop him from playing, and then he accidentally fell from the terrace, right?" Meanwhile, Cagla was already unhappy on the day, not because one of their students had died, but because his death will damage the school's reputation. And she becomes even more unhappy after noticing Tansu's attempts to delve into the investigation. She believes that Ilker's death has already damaged the reputation of the school enough, and if the press perceives the incident as a murder, it will further worsen the school's reputation. Cagla intervenes, "Excuse me, but how much longer do we have to tolerate you blaming our teacher?" Tansu is shocked by Cagla's response and tries to ignore her, leading to a small argument between them. Erdem considers it disrespectful towards Ilker and intervenes by saying, "Lastly, I want to add." It leads to silence for a while. Erdem starts to speak, swallowing hard. He was a good boy. Then he extends the microphone towards her. Tansu says to Erdem, "By the way, I want to ask." She attempts to take her microphone back, but Cagla intercepts and takes the microphone instead. Cagla says, "Let's not burden our teacher anymore, okay? It's clear that he has had a very hard day. Now, if you don't have any more questions, we would like to end the meeting." But Tansu curiously asks about the possibilities of how Ilker might have been killed, but her awful Turkish prevents Cagla from fully understanding her. Cagla complains, I really don't understand what you're saying." Then she turns to Erdem and asks, "Did you understand anything?" Erdem actually understands Tansu's question enough but pretends not to in order to help Cagla because she had recently supported him. Then Cagla notices that the press members are looking at her very strangely. She casually and curiously asks them, What happened? Is there something more important than our student's death?" The students in the dining hall are mourning over the death of Ilker. Some of them barely eat, and others are still crying over his demise. Yagmur is among them. Meanwhile, Duygu sits alone at a separate table, casually eating her meal and appearing unaffected by Ilker's death. The other students find her attitude awkward and start whispering to each other, saying things like, "What the hell is she doing? The guy is dead, what does she think she's doing? What's up with that?" Although she can't fully hear what they are saying, she understands enough to know they are gossiping about her and slowly stops eating. She stands up slowly and walks over to Yagmur's table. Then she confidently asks, "Can I help you?" The students immediately fall silent, not expecting her to ask such a question. Duygu glances at them and notices Yagmur at the table. She then starts glancing at her. Yagmur panics, feeling slightly afraid of Duygu due to her unpredictability. She anxiously and slowly says, "Duygu. We were. You know." Duygu suggestively replies, "You seem to be struggling. So you were trying to give me some complicated compliments then, right?" Hearing this, Yagmur becomes even more anxious and stammers, Duygu takes the chair from her previous table and drags it towards the center of the dining hall, causing a loud noise. Students wrinkle their faces at the sound, but Duygu pays them no mind. She casually sits on it and says suggestively, "So, are you still not talking? But I just endured this whole long journey for you, why are you wasting my time?" Yagmur begins to plead, "Duygu, why don't we stop dragging this out? Look, the place is about to close anyway." Duygu replies, "Then why not just start telling us what you were saying about me? After that, you can leave." Feeling cornered, Yagmur decides to confess her gossip as smoothly as possible, hoping it will satisfy Duygu and ease the tension. She anxiously says, We thought you were a little cold towards Ilker's death. We were just a bit surprised, that's all. You know. But Duygu remains unconvinced, saying, Really? It didn't seem that way to me at all. Her response convinces the other students that Yagmur won't easily get away with this. They start looking at her with pity, making her feel incredibly embarrassed. Duygu grinds and tells her that they are not going anywhere until Yagmur confesses. Unable to bear Duygu's taunts and the pitying looks from the other students, Yagmur impulsively stands up and yells, Shut up. Duygu's eyes widen in surprise as she hadn't expected to be confronted by Yagmur. Quickly standing up, Yagmur approaches her, continuing to yell, You killed him. Do you understand? Yes, you did this. If you hadn't played with his emotions and made him suffer, he would still be alive. Her accusation fills Duygu with uncontrollable rage, leading her to slap Yagmur hard. This time, Duygu yells, Get out of here. Get out. Yagmur holds her cheek for a moment, then quickly walks away. Duygu notices the crowd looking at her and angrily yells, What the hell are you all looking at? Go away. Go. She then angrily knocks over her chair and continues eating like nothing happened. Duygu sits on a log in Selçuk's villa garden, her right hand trembling from the stress of her experience in the dining hall. Moreover, Selçuk, her stepbrother, had scolded Duygu severely upon learning that she had slapped his girlfriend, Yagmur. He had also demanded that Duygu apologize to Yagmur. Coming out of the villa, Selçuk notices Duygu's casual attire and remarks, Come on, don't tell me you're going to the funeral like this. But Duygu is more concerned about how to apologize to Yagmur than about what to wear to Ilker's funeral. She snaps, I won't apologize. Okay, I won't do it. Selçuk retorts, Nope, you will. In fact, I'll even tell you when you'll apologize to Yagmur. As Duygu angrily walks towards her room, Selçuk adds, Go and wear something decent, preferably black. Because he knows how self-centered and socially awkward she can be. Duygu searches through her wardrobe but can't find a single black dress. After a while, she only finds a black shirt. She puts it on, looks at herself in the mirror, but then takes it off and tears it apart in anger. She believes she has no obligation to wear black, as she played no role in Ilker's death. Plus, she really hates being told what to do. Surprised by the torn shirt on the ground, Selçuk mockingly asks, What's this? Did you turn into the Hulk or something? Duygu asserts, I'm not wearing this. Selçuk half-jokingly responds, Breaking taboos, huh? If there's any other taboo you want to break today, don't hesitate to tell me. Understanding the message, Duygu tries to persuade him by jumping on him, naked, and kissing him. She hopes this might change his mind about the clothes. Later, Ilker's funeral takes place. Relatives, students, and teachers gather around. Selçuk, in a black tuxedo, confidently approaches the crowd, with Duygu walking slowly beside him. However, the crowd struggles to hide their surprise at Duygu's colorful clothes and bold makeup. On the first day of the last month of 2006, Duygu and Selçuk walk on the campus amidst the astonished looks of the students. Selçuk complains, Look at them, they stare at us like we killed the kid or something. Are you happy now with what you did? Duygu retorts, Is it bothering you? But you were perfectly fine when Yagmur did exactly the same thing to me. She refers to the conversation where Yagmur had accused Duygu of being responsible for Ilker's death. Selçuk changes the subject. You should rather think about how you're going to win the election if you continue to act like a clown. And if my dad keeps pestering me about the court case and finds out that our restaurant will close because of Gökhan, you know what he'll do to us? They stop walking, and Duygu weirdly replies, No, I don't know. I don't even want to know. Selçuk suspiciously asks, So, will you win then? Meanwhile, Gökhan and Ada are sitting on a bench on the campus. Ada, with tears in her eyes from time to time, can barely speak due to Ilker's death. She tries to say, "Oh, poor kid, how could you do such a thing? Was it worth taking your life for a few cents?" Ada thought Ilker probably committed suicide after losing a game. Gokun repeats, "He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it." Ada says, "Did you see how that bitch dressed at the funeral, like she was making fun of him? What kind of an idiot dresses like that at a funeral?" He replies, "Oh, never mind." Ada changes the subject. "But what about the election then? How are you going to win?" Gokun explains, "I had some plans. Actually, it was about being popular, then winning the election, but now his death changed everything. Completely changed." Ada asks, "So you mean because it won't be appropriate anymore?" He says, "Yeah." Then they lower their heads. After a while, they see a shadow in front of them. They look ahead and see Duygu standing in front of them. Duygu blames them for trying to humiliate her by constantly staring at her at the funeral, saying it was also so disrespectful to Ilker. Hearing the accusation, Gokun and Ada become outraged and quickly stand up. Ada says, "Look at this fool. She's trying to act like she's not the one who disrespected Ilker." Gokun tries to prevent Ada from escalating the situation, but Duygu escalates it by saying, "What about you, Ada? What did you really do, besides laying underneath the one who killed Ilker?" Implying that Gokun is responsible for Ilker's death. Duygu's answer makes Ada lose her temper, and she tries to slap Duygu. But Duygu stops her by grabbing her wrist. Gokun intervenes, and Duygu releases Ada's wrist. Then Duygu turns to Gokun and says, "Why don't you defend yourself, Gokun? Because you couldn't tell her that you were the one who encouraged Ilker to play poker, right?" Ada curiously asks Gokun, "Wait. Gokun, is this true?" Ignoring Ada, Gokun turns to Duygu. But when Ada asks him again, Gokun turns to her and answers, "But I tried to stop him, I tried to stop him." Then he turns back to Duygu, hoping to clear the air. But Duygu had other plans. She says, "From now on, you both are out of my life. We'll never see each other again." On the following day, Gokun briskly walks down the school corridor, repeatedly asking passing students, "Excuse me, have you seen Duygu, or has Duygu come to school today?" But each time, he receives a negative response. Because Duygu had accused him of Ilker's death, thwarting his attempt to clear the air the previous day. Gokun rests his hands on his hips, catching his breath, feeling increasingly frustrated as he realizes he probably won't clear the air today either. Spotting Selçuk at the other end of the corridor, Gokun clenches his right fist and approaches him slowly. Seeing Gokun coming, Selçuk also advances until they meet in the middle. Selçuk, with anger, asserts, "I told you to stay away from my sister." Gokun counters, "I didn't approach her, she came to me." "Okay." But Selçuk rebuffs, "But you could have left." Gokun persists, "Look, I didn't come here to start a fight." Yet Selçuk continues, "Then say what you want and don't waste my time in the middle of the road." Gokun states, "I want to talk to Duygu." Selçuk scoffs, "Are you retarded or something? How many times do I have to tell you to stay away from her?" Desperately, Gokun asserts, "Look, I'm sorry for Ilker's death, but I had nothing to do with it. Okay. I was trying to stop him. I was trying to stop him from playing poker." Selçuk mockingly replies, "Sure, if you say so, it must be definitely true," before walking away. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, Yagmur lays blame on her father for Ilker's death, arguing that if he hadn't tampered with Ilker's psychology by blackmailing him, Ilker would still be alive. Oktay rebuffs her, questioning why he's being blamed. Despite her repetitive and oddly rhythmic accusations, Yagmur persists, knowing that without her intervention, Ilker would have stopped playing poker thanks to Gokun. Unaware of this, Oktay finds his daughter's speech peculiar and asks, "Yagmur? Are you okay? She responds, I'm fine, Dad. And what about you? Interrupting, there's a knock on the door. Despite Oktay's refusal, Yagmur opens it, allowing Jiri to enter before she leaves. Yagmur walks strangely in the hallway, causing students to move out of her way as they notice her preoccupation. She collides with Gokun, holding her nose lightly afterward. Gokun apologizes, oh, sorry, just an accident, please forgive me. Yagmur awkwardly responds, it's okay, I was going to, anyway. Gokun, also feeling awkward, curiously asks, Yagmur? Are you okay? Hearing the question twice, Yagmur becomes outraged and angrily replies, yes, I'm fine. In fact, I'm perfectly fine. I have never even felt this good in my life. Why does everyone keep asking the same question again and again? Gokun is astonished by her unexpected answer and tries to change the subject, saying, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. By the way, I want to ask you something about your father. Of course, if you're okay, I mean sorry, if you are available. Yagmur agrees but urges him to be quick unless he wants to be seen by Selçuk. Gokun asks about her father's well-being, to which Yagmur initially feels strange but then asks if something bad happened between Gokun and her father. Gokun claims it's just about exams. And when Gokun asks why, she freezes momentarily. She even considers confessing her role in Ilker's death due to overwhelming guilt but then changes her mind, she lies instead, I mean, bumping into you, of course. What else could it be? Later, she continues, anyway, come with me. Oktay is sitting at his desk in the principal's office when Yagmur slowly opens the door and peeks her head in. She cheerfully says, Dad, guess who's here? Oktay stands up and smiles, expecting to meet with Selçuk. But after Yagmur leaves, Gokun enters the room slowly. Oktay's face turns sour when he sees Gokun, and he asks, so? You? Gokun modestly asks, good morning, sir. May I sit down? Oktay gestures for Gokun to take a seat, and they both sit down. Gokun gazes at Alex, the fish, in the aquarium for a while, reminiscing about the moment when he accidentally crashed into the aquarium almost 1 month ago and felt bad for a while. Curiously, Oktay asks, so, why did you come? Gokun replies, sir, I came here to apologize to you. Please, forgive me. Because Ilker's death had made him realize that everybody is mortal and that it could always be too late to apologize. Oktay asks, for which one? Gokun clarifies, the day I got a bad grade in your class, I got angry. I hit the bulletin board afterward out of anger. Do you remember? Oh. I think I remember, Oktay responds. Gokun continues, I actually didn't mean to do it, sir. I lost control a bit at that moment. I'm sorry. Could you forgive me? Please. Selçuk and Yagmur are cooking in the kitchen of Selçuk's villa. Selçuk politely asks, hey. Could you pass me a plate from up there, please? Yagmur tries to grab a plate from the top shelf, but accidentally knocks over and breaks most of the plates. Yagmur covers her mouth with her hands for a moment, then attempts to clean up the mess. Selçuk intervenes, wait, don't do that. Stop, you're going to injure yourself. They are not more important than you. Yagmur feels ashamed and asks, really? Selçuk grabs a glass from the top shelf and throws it on the ground to confirm her. While this makes her smile for a moment, she then anxiously asks, but what about Duygu? She's coming soon, and how will you explain the mess to her? Selçuk replies, well. She will clean it and then apologize for slapping you. Yagmur says, but, and then Selçuk interrupts her, please. She will have to pay for this. Okay? Yagmur replies, but I don't want to cause trouble. Selçuk freezes for a moment, unsure of how to balance the situation between the two girls. After getting an idea, he says, okay, then let me take you somewhere. Yagmur asks, where? But Selçuk insists it's a surprise. Then they leave the villa. At a car graveyard, they break empty bottles with baseball bats in a lively and cheerful way to relieve stress. Even Yagmur finds it surprisingly enjoyable. But deep down, they are still frustrated about the unresolved issue with Duygu. Duygu enters Selçuk's villa and is astonished after noticing the mess in the kitchen. Later, she picks up her phone and casually says, "Hi, I want to order a large pizza." She tries to act relaxed but also realizes that she will never feel comfortable again in the house without resolving her issue with Yagmur. Meanwhile, Boris is chatting with his friend Nate, who lives in the US, about his dark net marketing project. Boris asks, "When will you get the domain?" Nate says, "I won't." Surprised, Boris asks, "Why?" Nate ambiguously answers, no reason." Boris becomes angrier. "What the hell are you talking about? I thought we had a deal." Then Nate reveals why he has little faith in the project. "What about the logistics?" Boris hadn't extensively thought about that. He impulsively replies, "Then, come here." But his answer just made Nate lose the rest of his hope. He writes, "You have no plan," and then he disconnects. Boris gets angry and punches his desk. He then quickly shuts down his computer. But after a while, he opens up his computer and starts playing a video game while smiling, believing Nate will eventually come around. Meanwhile, Cagla sits at her desk in her room at the school, waiting for Ada. Several minutes later, she slowly enters, still afraid of her, but this time, Ada hides a small knife in her pants to protect herself. Ada slowly asks, "Mrs. Cagla? You wanted to see me?" After standing up, Cagla cheerfully welcomes her and drags her wheelchair next to Ada. She is puzzled and can't understand why she seems happy and why Cagla is treating her cheerfully, which totally contrasts their last disastrous encounter. Cagla cheerfully says, "Seems like you've come a very long way." But Ada becomes even more puzzled and she asks, "Mrs. Cagla? I don't get it." Cagla says, "Please sit down." Ada worries that she might have a malicious intent. Cagla continues, "Come on, get on, I won't bite you." Ada slowly and cautiously sits. Cagla drags her towards the desk. Then, she moves to the center of the room. Cagla puts her hand into her jacket pocket and Ada's heart starts beating faster, thinking she is trapped. But then Cagla takes out a stack of money and puts it in front of Ada. She adds, "It seems like it's your day." Ada curiously asks, "What is this for, ma'am?" Cagla explains, "I've asked you to find out why Gökhan and Boris left the job, and you found, right? Don't tell me you forgot." But the truth is that she had never asked such a thing from her before. Ada can't understand why she talks about something that didn't happen. Ada asks, "Did I? When?" Cagla clarifies, "You even did it an hour later. Remember?" Hearing this, Ada realizes that she is actually threatening her to learn why Boris and Gökhan quit from the drug business in 1 hour. And the money is there just to make it look like an offer. After thinking for a while, Ada impulsively drops the money on the floor and says, "Do it yourself." Cagla's face suddenly drops, but she tries to stay calm. She slowly replies, "Your decision. I'm not going to insist that you accept my gift." She takes the money from the floor and Ada asks, "Huh? Really?" Cagla coldly replies, "Of course. Because nobody can save you anymore." Meanwhile, Gökhan, sitting at his computer in his dorm room, is creating a post on the school's forum site with the title, "Ilker may not have committed suicide." In his message, Gökhan talks about his attempts to convince Ilker to quit playing poker and emphasizes that Ilker was not prone to suicide. Gökhan mentions that he will give a statement to the police in order to reopen Ilker's case. Shortly after creating the post, he starts receiving some supportive messages. Later on, Ada enters the room with the intention of finally telling him what Cagla did to her. But Gokun doesn't even look at her due to being focused on Ilker's case. She asks, I need to tell you something very important. After glancing at Ada for a moment, Gokun can't read the sadness on her face. He even excitedly says, hey, come here and see what's going on. Hurry. Ada becomes low-key angry because of his ignorance to her but reluctantly comes and looks at the screen regardless. Gokun says, he didn't die, Ada. He was murdered. See, they think the same too. He shuts down his computer then says, I have to go to the police now. But Ada loses her temper. But what about me? I told you I had something important to tell you. Do I mean nothing to you? Gokun replies, Ada, I didn't mean it like that. Let me go to the police and then I'll listen to you all day, okay? I promised them to go to the police. Ada coldly and suggestively replies, okay. Go and keep your promise then. After all, they are more important than me. Ada goes towards the door. Gokun accuses her of acting like a child, but Ada leaves regardless. The next evening, Duygu is engrossed in her jigsaw puzzle in her room at Selçuk's villa. Suddenly, she receives a message from one of Selçuk's friends, informing her that everyone at school is discussing Gokun's claims about Ilker's death not being a suicide. Duygu frowns, dismissing it as nothing more than an attempt to garner sympathy before the upcoming election. Meanwhile, Selçuk is watching Lost in the living room when he receives a call from Khan, his father's business partner in the US. Khan greets him warmly, asking, hey buddy, how are things going over there? Selçuk responds respectfully, fine. How about you? Is everything all right? Khan replies anxiously, things are terrible, man. Disaster is looming. Startled, Selçuk asks, hey, what's going on? Khan explains, rumors are circulating about an impending real estate crash here, but there's one guy who doesn't believe it. Guess who? Selçuk responds fearfully, it's not my dad, is it? Please, tell me it's not him. I beg you, tell me it's not him. Khan suggests, why don't you talk to him? Maybe you can convince him to halt the investments, do you understand me, buddy? Selçuk replies despondently, but I've already spoken to him. I can't believe how he can be so blind and greedy. Selçuk's words crush Khan's remaining hopes. He exclaims, what? Did you really talk to him before? Damn. Then we're doomed. It's over. As Khan abruptly ends the call, Selçuk desperately calls out, Khan. Khan, realizing he's been hung up on, Selçuk throws his phone in anger and curses. His curses and yelling startle Duygu, causing her to accidentally ruin her puzzle again. Angry, she sticks her head out of the room and yells, what the hell are you doing? Do you know what time it is? Selçuk, standing at the end of the hallway, angrily stares at Duygu for a moment before quickly closing the door to the living room. Duygu returns to her room and tries to refocus on her puzzle. Meanwhile, Selçuk anxiously paces around the room, pondering a way to prevent his father from losing millions. Eventually, he gets an idea and starts chatting with Khan. Selçuk lays out his bold plan, I think we should take over his accounts. Khan laughs briefly, are you insane? If your dad finds out, he will kill us. But Selçuk is confident it's the only way to preserve the money. He responds, don't you think about your kids? If my dad goes down, you'll go down too, you know that. Intrigued, Khan presses, what's your plan? Tell me now. Selçuk confidently replies, we'll empty my father's accounts. Secretly. I have a plan. Khan emphasizes the fact that he shouldn't talk too openly about these kinds of things on a very traceable program. He advises, don't tell, before leaving the chat. Selçuk realizes that Khan is actually open to his idea. Selçuk glances towards the door of the living room and then slowly approaches the door to Duygu's room. Suddenly opening it, he startles Duygu again, causing her to ruin her puzzle once more. She exclaims, What the hell are you doing? Are you serious? Congratulations, you've ruined my puzzle twice. Selçuk retorts, now is not the time for puzzles, it's time to work. Duygu asks curiously, work? What are you talking about? Selçuk arrogantly replies, does it matter? Duygu persists, shouldn't it matter? Selçuk sits on her bed and continues, look, I have a plan, and you're going to help me, okay? Duygu wonders, I'm going to help you? Without even knowing what it is? He reminds her, we made a deal, remember? You were supposed to rule the school, and I was supposed to rule the home. Later, she asks what the problem is, and he anxiously explains, the problem is my dad. He's not going to stop investing in those East Florida houses despite the rumors of a real estate crash here soon. We need to do something. He also explains his plan to empty his father's accounts. But Duygu rejects him, claiming she can't do anything illegal. Selçuk becomes angrier, reminding her that if they don't act, they are going to go bankrupt. But Duygu's refusal to listen escalates the situation further. Selçuk raises his voice, look. I'm already damn angry at you for not apologizing to Yagmur. At least stop causing trouble and listen to me, okay? Duygu coldly replies, if you want to be listened to, then go talk to Yagmur. Because it looks like she's a lot more important to you than I am, right? You and Yagmur really disgust me. Selçuk clenches his fist for a moment then says, by the way. There's a leak in the yard, you see that? She says, what leak? I didn't see anything. He asks, should we go check it out, and Duygu agrees. They go outside and take a few steps forward. Duygu asks, so, where is it? Then Selçuk suddenly kicks Duygu hard on the butt, causing her to tumble down a few steps of the stairs. He yells, get the fuck out of my house. As Duygu's knees bleed, Selçuk closes the door from the inside. Duygu, holding her knee, comes to the front of the house and bangs on the door. She begs, open the door. We need to talk. Open it now, please. I'm begging you. Look, I'm freezing. Please, open it. She crouches down next to the door. Later, Selçuk throws Duygu's wallet, laptop, some of her clothes, and her puzzle out of the window. Seeing this, Duygu starts crying. Then, she lets her body go and hopelessly falls face down on the ground, continuing to cry. Later, she stands in front of Cagla's villa and rings the bell. Cagla opens the door and is immediately shocked by how dirty she looks. Cagla says, oh my god, Duygu? What happened to you? What did you do to yourself? Duygu cuts her short, can I stay with you tonight, Mrs. Cagla?